register and they'll open it.
So when
if you wanted extra security while keeping your car unlocked at home for convenience, there is an option to set a pin to drive.
Oh, yes.
So you've got to type in a 4-digit code in order to be able to put the car into drive.
Okay. All right. Yeah, they're good things to consider. I mean, we just do it for ease, but then sometimes you think, oh, you just never know.
Is that everything, Andrew?
Yeah, that's great.
I've got a question for
I
Barry.
think Barry had a question. Yeah.
Barry, I've got a question for Barry. How'd you go with your panel work the other month when you got
It's I've been waiting for the parts, so it's
You're
now
still waiting now.
Yeah. It's now booked in for the week after Easter to have the job done.
Christ, still now.
So yeah, it's taken a long time to get the parts. The hardest one appears to have been the rear light.
Who'd you go with? Which corrupt panel beater did you go with? Which great
Barrow panel beaters.
Arrow?
Barrow panel and paint.
Barrow. Yeah.
Oh, Barrow panel and paint. Okay. RAC told you to go with them?
No, RAC told me to go to a local place here. And I thought, well, that's odd, because I rang them up and said, hey, can you fix my Tesla? And they said, no, we can't do Teslas. You got to go to an authorized place. So I had to ring RAC and get them to change it to Barrow.
There's 4 authorized Tesla repairers in Perth.
Yeah.
There's McCarthy Prestige. There's Mirage, Barrow, and the newest one is J&M.
Yeah.
So J and
I just looked at what the recommendations were on the Facebook page, and everyone seemed to be saying go to Barrow, so that's where I went.
What sort of quotes have you seen? What the prices they're charging?
No,
Nothing.
no, I just know I got to pay the $600 excess.
That's it. Okay. There you go.
Which is
Cool. So, sorry about that little interruption in transmission. That's just given me a whole lot of work. I think the Russians did another cyber attack on Starlink, so I had a small outage.
I didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
My internet service just doesn't fail me every week.
I had horrendous outages earlier this morning. It was just continual outages, and I should have actually said this, when we started the show that, apologies if this goes off, because as we know, it's all a bit risky if it you lose the internet. But anyway, fingers crossed it's the only one. But unfortunately, my Zoom got kicked off, so now I've got 2 files I've got to merge, and that's just just the worst thing ever. So it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, did I freeze then?
Yeah,
rather than doing it.
Yeah, again.
So
Go
my
back to the
question-
dial-up service, mate. Back to dial-up.
So after having the car for about a year, I'm actually going to do my first trip away. I think I've only charged the car once away from home.
Oh,
But I'm going up to Geraldton,
nice.
which for the long weekend in June. And although the car says it can get there, I'm thinking I'll stop in Duran Bay on the way.
Yep.
So doing my maths, so a quick maths check for me. The Duran Bay says it's 76 cents per kilowatt hour with a minimum of $25.
No, 70 cents.
Yeah, 70 cents.
Sorry, yes, yep.
Which I work out is about 35.7 kilowatt hours.
Yep.
It's a 40 kilowatt charger, so I need to be there for an hour. But that's going to get me what, half charge? I'm guessing.
No, it'll be more than half. You'll get you'll get 38 kilowatt hours. So how big's your battery, Barry?
Well, it's 79, isn't it, for long range?
Oh, right. Okay. Yes. So if you turn up with 30%, then you'll get 50% added. So you'll go from 30 to 80 or 20 to 70 or 50 to or 40 to 90.
Okay. And looking on PlugShare, it says you've got to book it in advance, but it doesn't say how long in advance.
You don't.
Well,
I can only go by my own experience, which was on Monday, where I charged there twice, and I think the first time I turned up was at about 8:30 ish,
right.
roughly, and no, you didn't need to book.
Oh, okay. Because
So-
it says the phone ahead, but I didn't know how far ahead.
No, if you're going there during the daytime, you don't
Oh,
need to
yeah.
ring ahead. If it is a 24/7 service station, so I dare say if you want to do some nighttime charging, it might be useful to ring ahead.
The end of the day.
But
Okay.
if it's during the daytime, it's fine. They'll have the day staff and it'll be fine. Now,
Oh, okay.
when you do
they'll have to come out and turn the generator on for you,
Yeah.
and take the cover off the tritium and etc. So, but yeah, make sure you read the instructions on PlugShare
Yeah, I've
And,
read through them. So
and give him a small tip.
okay. All right. And then obviously in Geraldton, I can use the Tocqueville charger.
Yeah, so the Tocqueville charger used to look like this. It used to be on this little shark fin frame, and then on Monday I went up there with Jason, and we basically took it off the frame and bolted it directly to the concrete slab.
Right.
So now it basically looks like this. So it's slightly different. It's basically a little bit more protected, not so prominent, but also means that it's less intrusive to Golden West Ice, who regularly use this roller door. And it's just a bit more secure. And it means the shark fin frame has got scope to be used elsewhere where that's relevant.
Right.
You
Okay.
could fit like
And the
four
ins-
Starlinks on them, Harold.
Sorry? So, yeah, I
You
could.
fit
That's
like four
right.
Starlinks.
Well, I've actually got my own Starlink adapter, which I intend to use to demonstrate that Starlink can be gotten anywhere south of Northampton, all the way across the state, all the way to Eucla. So, which is really awesome. But yeah, you could almost put 4 Starlinks on there, Russell. You could have 800 megabits per second, potentially. Except when you get nothing, and then your Zoom kicks off, and then you get 2 video files you've got to join together that are multi-gigabytes long. Anyway, it's a first world problem.
Okay. Cool. Okay.
But yeah, so Barry, that's all good. So your trip up will be easy peasy. And Tocqueville's charge is 50 cents per unit. It's actually going to reduce to, I think it's 45 or 40 cents to Tocqueville members soon. But what you need to do, in fact, you can do this now anytime you like, is just log into your Tocqueville account. And when you look at editing details, scroll down on your details, and there's a little checkbox that says that you're happy to have your details used for discount purposes. And that's so that we can send your details to SmartCharge, and they can then apply that discount on any charging sessions that you do at a Tocqueville fast DC charger.
Oh, cool. Okay.
If you've already got a smart charge account, does that matter?
No. So you just simply what we do is you can actually apply the discount code. There's a fleet code in your SmartCharge account. If you look at it, if you look at your details in SmartCharge, I think you say update payment details, I think, to get to the main details of your SmartCharge account. And there's a section that's described something like fleet code. And if you put Tocqueville, then you'll notionally get the discount. But what we do is, with the permission of all the members who have ticked the checkbox, we will submit to SmartCharge a list of currently financial members who have opted in, and then that way they can cross-match it to the discount code and make sure that only currently financial TOCLA members get the discount. But to do that, because we've got our own privacy policy, we only do that with each member's express permission. So if you don't opt in for the discount, well, you just won't get it. It won't be. We can't make it automatic because we have to give SmartCharge, who is a third party, some information such as who are the members who are currently financial.
I'll sort that out later, then I'll set those up.
But Barry, to avoid disappointment, you probably won't get the when are you going? Fairly soon, I think it was.
June long weekend.
So say again.
The June long weekend.
Oh, by June. Oh no, it'll be done by June. Oh yeah, that's fine. Yeah, sorry. I thought you might have been the next week or so, and I might not be quite ready. But
hey Harold, any chance that the Lancelin charges might be up by June? The Tesla.
No, zero. Oh, Tesla. I literally don't know, Pete. I literally don't know. The best indication of anything happening is if you see the transformer plonked on the ground. But I don't even know how long that takes.
2 weeks.
How's that,
Yeah.
Jared? Is it?
Somebody say 2 weeks.
How long do you think all that'll take? 2 weeks. Really? Yeah, that's all.
Any idea when you're going to be finished here?
2 weeks.
How long will it take to put this place together?
2 weeks. I do get the permits. How long will the job take? 2 weeks. 2 weeks? 2 weeks? You sound like a parakeet there. 2 weeks? 2 weeks? Well, 2 weeks. It's amazing. Amazing nothing. It'll be a regular miracle.
So there you go. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah, it does take a while.
2 weeks.
So can't you? I was planning on going to Geraldton as well to visit my dad.
2 weeks.
I thought I could drive.
2 weeks.
Nice. I thought I could drive from Karen up to Geraldton in one go.
What car have you got, Russell? Long range or standard range?
Long range.
Long. Oh no, you can eat it. You can eat it.
Yeah. So haven't you got long range, Barry?
Mine says it
Why did
should
you want to
do
stop
it.
at Geraldton Bay?
Well, mine says it should do it.
Oh, yeah.
So why do you
Yeah,
want to
so-
stop in Geraldton Bay for? Just for an egg sandwich?
Well, obviously it's a 5-hour trip, so
Yeah,
I might
could
want
be
to
some
stretch
young,
the legs.
could
But
be some young girls there.
But the other thing is, I'm going to need it charged up there because I'm going to be just parked out on a sand dune for 3
Oh.
days.
That's a good idea. So Barry, make sure you take some spare tyres, all 4 of them. I'm just going to leave them in
No,
Geraldton.
it's not off road, Darren.
Oh,
So,
okay.
but no, I did send Harold an email to ask about borrowing one of the tyres, but I've probably changed my mind. I'll probably just get a can of slime.
No, yeah, slime's okay. Look, only a personal recommendation. It's not professional advice, and in that
Elaine?
sense, I should play this.
The following
Coronas,
segment
Coronas.
is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal
Final
professional
boarding
advice.
call, flight 312 to
Listeners should seek their
Vancouver.
own independent
Mr.
assessment
Murphy,
from a qualified
gate 7,
advisor
gate 7,
and
Mr.
not
Murphy.
rely on the general nature of information in this program.
Otherwise,
Viewers are advised that this recording may contain references to Synergy, 2 Weeks, and Grimes. Anyone triggered by these or similar phrases should press pause and subscribe to the Nissan Leaf channel.
Of course.
but something I've personally found very effective are those tire slug things where you get the unvulcanized rubber thing and you put that in for emergency purposes. And
Yeah, I
I'm going to
know
officially
those.
say that that's for emergencies only. I can say that I've put one in to one of my tires, and I've used that same tire to drive from Perth to Eucla and back. And as part of that process, I also drove or towed a 2.2 ton trailer to Southern Cross, then drove just the car from Southern Cross to Eucla and back, and then back to Perth, and then went to Southern Cross picked up the same 2.2 ton trailer and brought it back to Perth, and that same unvulcanized patch or slug is still in my tire.
And stayed in a room in Southern Cross, Eucla.
No, and Ceduna and Eucla.
Stayed in a room in Ceduna that without a UV light. So you can imagine what that would have been like. Would have been like a plaster's radio.
Well, what was scary at Ceduna was that I'd see, not Ceduna, sorry, Kaiguna. I'd see like bugs, beetles and flies in the room, and then the next day they'd all be dead on the floor, and it's like, what killed them? Because I didn't spray them. And then the next day there were more things walking around or flying around, and the day after they'd all be dead, and it's like, I didn't spray anything, so whatever's in that room is pretty poisonous to insects. And
the only thing in that room was you, Harold.
No, it's that bed. What was in that bed?
What sort of gases were you producing overnight?
Yeah. Well, a couple of road dogs and dim sims and hot dogs. Been a bit of methane going on. No problem at all.
Oh dear.
Carmen, I wonder what's going on with Carmen.
Yes,
about her tennis career. Can we go off pause so we can find out what's going on with Carmen?
Oh, okay. Just hang on 2 seconds. We'll be right back. Ashley, a big shout out to Ashley. Thank you for watching. I hope we don't make you too sick in the process of watching this exciting stuff. Damon, Joseph,
Jackie,
Steve, Jackie,
I'm going to watch it again, so say hi to me.
So many.
Nigel Saunders, who can't get the full body in the screen.
That's it. Okay, we're going to go and pause in. Alrighty, well, welcome back. Oh man, it's already 11:04, and I'm sure it was only about 10:20 when we left the first time. What I alluded to earlier was we were going to have a little treat, which was a certain music video.
Do you want to check the share price first, quickly, before you do that?
Oh, share price check, and it is
better.
11:01. Nice.
Yeah.
It did go above 11. It got to like 11:10.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So we're up, well, 0.22%, but that's okay, because if we do that every day, then we'll be effluent before we know it. Now, there was a great, Elon Musk is basically in some filings, because he is in dispute of the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission, who there was a $40 million penalty that I think it was 20 million that Elon Musk had to pay, and Tesla had to pay the other 20 to be put towards so-called compensation. That was for the funding secured state, the $420. Now, bearing in mind that was $420 pre-split, that Elon Musk had said that there were some Saudi investors that were prepared to take Tesla private. And of course, post-split, that you divide that by 5, so that's $84. And Tesla's share price today is
a little bit more than $84.
A little bit more. It's currently $1,100 even and 10 cents, because that counts. So from $84,
it's more than 1,084.
Exactly. So the SEC has been taking their sweet time in working out how to do the distribution to these allegedly aggrieved shareholders that somehow lost money in Elon's utterances on Twitter.
You can do a quick calculation, Harold? How many shares you could have bought for that 40 million at that price?
Well, that's the thing. So
the next point is like, they only got $1 million worth of interest in that period. They've made $1 million in interest. But if you reinvested that $40 million into Tesla at the time, you would have got, what, like 60,000 shares or something like that?
Yes, and these days that's worth a bit of money.
Times by what, $1,000 gain? So, like, you know.
So the fact that they took so long to give the money, those shareholders have missed out on a lot of capital gain because they wisely would have invested in Tesla straight away. Like any money they get, they put back into Tesla.
But the thing is that Tesla paid it and Elon Musk paid the 20 million when they were asked to do so by the judge. And then the SEC did nothing for years. Didn't contact anyone, did zero. And then Elon Musk said, look, what's happened to this 40 million? No one's received anything. What are you doing? And they said, oh, we're still trying to work out how to distribute it because it's very complex.
The formula, that's right.
The formula. So, but then all of a sudden, within 2 weeks, they published the formula and it was like a 2-pager. So the 2-pager, which was basically one paragraph of substance, took him years because it was so complex to put together.
And yet I think the formula was really simple, like we just give it evenly spread amongst the people that were aggrieved, or the shareholders that were involved in those trades that occurred within 48 hours of that tweet, where they might have incurred a loss, and we'll spread it evenly amongst all of those people that made trades. End of story.
Just prorated for the amount of shares that you held during that period. So
it wasn't even the plan of how to actually give the money out. It was just the plan of how they were going to give it, like how much they're going to give, which is the easy, like the easy of the two bits.
It was the plan to have a plan. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I did the calculations, Harold, on 84.
Yes, Russell.
So, what, 4 billion?
So if it's $84 a share and there's $40 million, it's like 470,000 shares they could have bought. So.
And what's that worth today?
So it's gone up, say, $1,000 since then. So it's 476,000 times 1,000. So if I times that by 1,000 equals, it's a very large number, $476 million they would have got it in. That's how much those shares would have worth now.
Wow.
Yes.
Instead, they made $1 million in interest instead when they kept it in their high interest saver account at wherever they got put it in.
See, the SEC doesn't understand that it's not timing the market that's important, it's time in the market.
Yeah.
So
and that time they wasted.
So all those shareholders that are eligible to be given some, distributed some of this 40 million should turn around and sue the SEC for sitting on their money for 3 years or however long it's been.
Sorry, yep, because they would have, and they'll allege this in their affidavit, that they would have wisely invested it in Tesla immediately and gone up by
over
10 times, more than 10 times, more than 10 times, 12 times, from $84 to $1,000. Yep, absolutely. And the thing is, the SEC cannot mount an argument as to why it took so long. Because as Pete said, the actual bit that counts is a 1-paragraph statement on a 2-page document that says, oh, we'll just do it pro rata to the people involved. Well, that's kind of...
They could have literally come up with this over a beer in the pub in 10 minutes on the back of an envelope.
Well, it's probably what they did when they read Elon Musk's tweet about it,
that's exactly what would have happened. Yeah, they would have
but actually, we're going to preface.
About this.
We're going to preface that.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to preface that, Pete, with allegedly. We're going to say we think, in our personal opinion, without slandering anyone, that's what they would have done.
In my humble opinion,
which could be right or could be wrong. Now, having said all of that, Elon Musk did refer to the SEC. Now, there's a great song by a gentleman who goes by the name of Eminem, and it goes, it's titled Without Me. And if you listen to the actual contents of it, it's actually very, very relevant to what Elon Musk is talking about. And it goes a little bit like this. So it feels so empty without me is something that Elon Musk probably feels intently on Twitter. But Elon, please just stop the Twitter. If you listen to the lyrics, it's just got Elon Musk all over it. It's a really good choice of Elon to actually invoke that song. Because Elon is really just the 2022 version of Eminem in that video.
Yes.
In my humble opinion.
Yes.
I have a question for you. When Elon Musk starts his own social media platform, will you leave Twitter and join that, or would you stay on Twitter?
Oh, look, I can play country and Western music, so, I've got Discord and Twitter and Instagram and TikTok and whatever. So I'll just join on to Muskie's Mitta or whatever he wants to call himself, or whatever. But, sometimes less is more.
Yeah.
And, we did hear what Elon said about the C word, supposedly. And, it's the virus of Theseus or Theseus, depending on whether you're Greek or Aussie. And that's something we didn't mention earlier, is what he's basically saying is it's as old as Athens. And how many generations does it have to evolve to when you stop calling it the same thing? But Elon's an awesome guy, and he has forgotten much more than all of us in this room at the very start of this episode ever could dream to know. Elon has forgotten. So we've got to forgive his idiosyncrasies. But his choice of music tracks is pretty good, and I think it was the FCC instead of the SEC, but it's close enough.
So your point before, Harold, was to sort of, lay low a little bit on Twitter. I've almost got the opposite view. For me, I'm still building my position in Tesla. So the more he can do to keep the share price lower for me is actually in my favor, because if he hadn't done some of those things, I would be buying shares now at a lot higher rate than what I currently am. So in anything, this is probably like way off where it is, but in my head, he's doing this to reward people who are coming along the journey and giving as much opportunity as they can get in before the thing just explodes, and then that's it. You got no chance anymore.
And you know what? That's what I was thinking with this latest stock split. So, if they do a big ratio, like a 20-1, like what, Amazon and Google did, I wonder if that's, to let the little guys get in, that don't have access to partial shares or whatever, before it's full self-driving.
So is that why I put 20 icons on there, Pete?
21.
Yeah, right.
No, 20. No, because the top one's one share and it splits into 20 of them.
Yeah.
You get 19 more, you get 20 more.
Right.
Well, that'd be good. Well, Pete, ARK isn't doing too well.
So just
no, time to this is not. Where's your recording, Harold?
Sorry. Hang on. Oh, well, do you want to go off record, or do you want to just do a disclaimer? Because we can.
Can I talk about stock split quickly or not?
I don't
so again. So again, Pete, do we go on pause, or do we just do disclaimer? Pause?
No, just a disclaimer. Yeah.
Oh, disclaimer. Oh, yes. Okay, I can do that. I can find where that is. That's called that button there, and this one, and that one.
The following segment is general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
Yeah, so I've used it to buy some more I've used the dip to buy some more. So I don't have much left. I mean, it's, you know, no one, I would never advise a client. I mean, I'm not a stockbroker. I haven't been for, you know, I was a stockbroker in my previous life. So it's been, you know, what, 15 years or something since I held a license. But
so Pete, so Buddhists believe that they try and improve each generation. They try and get closer to Buddha, right? So for your sins, you were a stockbroker.
I just regress.
So you've got from stockbroker to dodgy solar salesman to, you know.
Carmen, what's the name of your defamation?
I've got two. Innovation and genomics.
What's that?
I've got innovation and genomics.
Yeah, right. I don't have the innovation, but I've got the genomics, and yeah, I have bought some more. But I've pretty much, I would never, even when I was a broker, I would have never suggested to a client anything as crazy as what I'm doing. But I've pretty much got 90% plus of my shares in Tesla.
Not enough, mate. I got 100%. Everything I got. Credit cards, sold a car, sold a house, everything. Everything.
Oh, God. Play the disclaimer again.
Everything.
No, well, Russell, I have Apple. Apple's been very good.
Oh, look, fruit companies are great. Who was it that Tom Hanks played? Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump invested in a fruit company and he did all right. And that was back in the 1980s. You know, Russell, anyone watching this on YouTube, and we thank you for doing so, and please do like and subscribe and share, and do put in comments. So I must admit I didn't read last week's comments, probably because there were none. It sounds crazy to invest in one company, which Tesla is, but as we all know, Tesla is not a single sector. It's not just an automotive company, which so many analysts still treat it like. JP Morgan still treats it like it's a single, it's a standard car company, and all they do is attribute what's their target price, Pete? It's about $200 and something because on a good day,
it's like they ignored the stock split.
Exactly. So Tesla really is it's probably one of the most diversified companies on the stock market, really.
Vertically.
I mean, you know, you've got like on the ASX, you got Wesfarmers and some of these, you know, that really diversified. But I mean, with Tesla, as far as it being a car company, I mean, it's probably the one and only true car company, because most of the others are mainly just assemblers now.
Component assemblers, yes.
Exactly. And so not only do they have exposure to, you know, going right back to the raw materials, you know, they've got a lithium mine right up to selling the actual cars and, you know, bypassing dealers. So the whole vertical integration, they've got their fingers in every step of that along all those levels. So you could argue that they're the only true, real car company. But on top of that, they're an AI company, they're an energy company, they're a logistics company.
There's a video link I just put in the chat that's explaining Peter's point. Just fast forward it through a little bit. And it's take it with a grain of salt, because even I think that his claims are outlandish. But what it does do is it highlights on the New York Stock Exchange map the sectors that Tesla actually operate in, their reach. So it's not just the automotive industry, but other sectors they should be actually getting market capital from.
So Russell, this goes for 6 minutes and 52 seconds. Where should I get to? Oh, we can just
scrub through it a little bit, or offline if you want.
Before we do that, we'll just have a quick look at the share price. And it's okay. I was going to say if it had gone up heaps, we could afford to stay up a bit later because we can afford to sleep in. But where should I go to, Russell, roughly? Or we could
Go
just play the
to-
6 minutes.
Go to, hang on, just give us 1 sec.
Maybe just
Go to
play
6
at
minutes.
1.5 speed.
6 minutes
Harold.
and 3 seconds.
Say again, Russell.
6 minutes and 3 seconds.
6 minutes and 3 seconds.
Yep.
Oh, right. Yeah, cool. I can do that. Okay, here we go.
And just, there you go. Back a bit.
This is not even including
There you
master
go.
plan 3. This
Pause there.
is the potential growth.
Just press pause.
Likely, possibly, probably.
So as you can see there, he's pretty much done a square around every area that Tesla are going to be in and what part of the company is actually going to be working on that part of the market.
And Russell, sorry, which is this? Is this the Nasdaq or is this what? These are all share proportions, right? So market cap.
Yep. This is
Which
Yep.
which index is this? Is this Nasdaq?
Yeah, Nasdaq. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yep. So just explain to anyone watching it on YouTube, all of these squares. This area is Google's market cap, and you can see that it's probably about twice that of Tesla. Is that right? And I think Facebook, you can see, in Amazon. So that's the relative size of all these various companies, including Microsoft, Apple. So you're going, Russell?
Yeah. So what this diagram is trying to show, and I don't think this is exactly right, because you've got stuff like mRNA, which they're not really in at the moment, but potentially in the future. But you can see if you just look at the headings on these areas, so consumer stuff, you got Tesla there, which is sitting in with the other sort of areas, but then you've got on the left technology, and you can see Tesla's market cap isn't associated with technology. And you can see that whole area there is available to Tesla to move into, because that's the current whole of world, or not whole of world, but essentially that stock market value that they're not even actually being associated with. And as you go through them, you can see which part of their businesses actually have a market share other than their core, the consumer area. So you think Tesla Solar, the bot, the SpaceX,
AutoBidder,
yeah, Starlink, all these things that contribute or should contribute to the overall market cap of the company. So when you're comparing Toyota and Volkswagen and Ford and GM with the cost of a Tesla share, and they're saying, oh, well, GM or Toyota aren't only making, they're making like 8 million vehicles a year at the moment. Why is their market cap like a tenth of what Tesla's is? It's because it's not an automotive company in the same way they are. It's taking a PE ratio from a technology business, not an automation business. And once it's recognized that this is the whole market cap, and when Tesla bot comes into being, and the whole value of the world's economy increases by like, there's just more money because there's the value of like labor is zero now, the whole world will have a higher GDP, which will mean that a $1 million share price, I mean, this is far-fetched, but this is what this guy's saying, $1 million share price is now tenable because the value of the whole world's economy has increased to a level where it's no longer bound by the current constraints of labor.
And the thing is, when James Watt created the steam engine, mechanical effort was water wheels, horses, or draft horses on not merry-go-rounds. I forget what it's called. A captain. I think it's a captain. But they just go round and round in circles, and you get a little, minuscule amount of energy coming out. Well, 1 horsepower. The Industrial Revolution, meant that you could turn cotton into fabrics, and clothing wasn't worth. You didn't have intergenerational clothing. You had, well, now we've got disposable clothing, and all of that sort of transformation is just beyond comprehension to the people that experienced it. I know in my field, in electronics, when you design these days, you design a circuit board, you download free software, you quickly do a schematic, and you do a layout, and you email the results to a company that will then post in about 3 days from China a multi-layer circuit board that will cost you about $30. When I first did engineering, well, on the cusp of that, you used to get Letraset tape, and you used to do a 4-to-1 ratio, so it was all bigger because it was easier to do, and you would manually lay out strips of black, well, it was like, well, Letraset tape or masking electrical tape sort of thing, but skinnier, and you'd lay out and you get these donuts and you'd rub it like Letraset onto your transparency, and then if it clashed, you'd have to rip it all up and redo it, and then you'd get a 4-to-1 reduction with a photographic setup, and you'd then go and get the circuit boards done, and that would take weeks, and then finally get the results in 6 weeks' time, and then it was wrong, and you do it all over again. Now anyone can do it on the internet for almost no cost, and so the efficiency. You had telephone operators, mostly ladies would be in telephone exchanges and have RCA plugs, and they would literally hardwire one call into another. So international, there was STD, subscriber something dialing, and international dialing was expensive and hard because you had a satellite link, like one whole satellite channel was for one phone conversation. The advancement of technology is just so mind-blowingly fast that we just can't comprehend it. Yeah. So Russell, you're dead right.
And on that point, you mentioned before, I'm pretty sure, about the video that Dave Lee did about the S-curve on top of S-curve. Did you talk about that? Or
yes, weeks and weeks ago. Bring
up that video I put in on the chat. It only goes for 30 seconds. But what this shows is another representation of that same concept of how the current market cap of a certain industry compared to another one actually with exponential growth. So
Yep, 2 seconds. Here we go.
Bring that one up. So just pause it there. So you can see that's the current.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, just pause it there.
No, hang on. I'll just go back.
Yeah, so
this is Steve McRyan.
Yeah. So this is the total world's, I guess, in a circle, how much money is associated with transport and energy. So you can imagine all the world, how much money is associated with that. Then as they zoom out more, it does another circle of the world's labor market. So if you press play on that, so if you stop there, that's potentially the labor, like of the whole world right now. But if you keep going, that's like, keep going. That's like essentially that last circle.
That's it. That's the whole video. Please rewind and watch again.
So yeah, go back, and keep going, and when it goes big, stop. Yep, there. So you can't even see the transport in there anymore. But essentially, what Musk is trying to achieve is that outside circle with Tesla Bot. So to enable that bigger circle, Tesla Bot comes around, and then the value of the whole world's money essentially becomes a larger amount. So there's more money to be essentially bought and sold and traded, and
Well, when I was born in 1969, this thing was in Star Trek as a fictitious communication device.
Yes.
And yet for us now, look, yes, these things are expensive. These cost, the best part of $2,000, but you can get a big W burner version that's fully functional for $30.
So, and if you look at the cost of the share prices now, if you're saying that Tesla's going to be a huge part of that massive circle, let's just say, for argument's sake, let's just say they're like, 1% of the massive circle. That's like $40,000, $50,000 a share. Like it's like probably even more. Like it's so far from like what we're even thinking right now, because to use Harold's analogy, people are like, oh yeah, whatever. Remember that show used to be on Beyond 2000? Like, oh, what's going to be next? Like, people laugh at that stuff now, but if by 2030 or 2050 probably, that's where it's going to be. 2050, $1 million a share.
1982, Summon was on Knight Rider.
Yeah. Yes, it was. And it was. That's right, Damo, and welcome.
And in 2022, Knight Rider is on Tesla's Model 3.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that, Pete, but I knew you would.
And
so that, yeah.
Moore's law should state that the technology increase should be gathering faster and faster speed as it gets better and better anyway.
But what you want to look at is Wright's law. So Moore's law is a function of time, whereas Wright's law is a function of quantity. So the amount, and Cathy Wood talks about this quite a lot, as does Professor Ray Wills. So, every doubling in the quantity of whatever widgets you're making, the economies of scale, you get better at it, etc. So the cost goes down. They're talking, like AI, what is it? Some ridiculous numbers. It's like 60%, year on year drop in costs of AI, like mapping, like gene therapy, 40% annual drop. So something in those vicinities. I mean, and that's, 60% once is big enough, but you do that 60% one year, then 60% again the next year and the year after that. It's incredible.
Well, what did the first human genome cost to map? It was over $1 billion, and it was by Ventor. It was a private. I remember Bill Clinton was funding it as a government initiative. And then I forget the gentleman's name. Is someone Ventor?
10 years or something.
Yes, and Ventor said, "Well, this is just ridiculous. I'm going to apply new technology and do it quicker." And he sort of did it the quick, dirty method, which is don't try and read the whole thing from start to finish. Chop it up into little pieces, read the little strips, and then get a supercomputer to paste them all together like a jigsaw puzzle. And they all laughed and went, "You're an idiot," and whatever. And he did it for less than $1 billion, but it cost $1 billion. Today, I think you can get it for, it's probably less than a couple of. Oh well, actually, Pete, I think that was a few years ago. I think you can do it for a couple of $100.
Right.
Because they just use supercomputers and whatever. Look at hard drive. I did see a graph on Twitter. I think it was the cost per gigabyte, or was it per megabyte? And it used to be thousands of dollars, and now it's a fraction of a cent per megabyte, or maybe it was per gigabyte now, because you can buy a 4 terabyte hard drive for $100. That's 4 million bytes. I think 4 million megabytes for $100. So you're right, Pete. That the reduction in cost is so it's just mind blowing. You can't comprehend it. But then, how much did a Bible cost for monks in a monastery to reproduce by hand on parchment? Which is sheepskin. Compared to a few years ago when we had inkjet printers where we could do a book for a few dollars, to now you don't even need paper. It's just on a screen. A Kindle or
society. Now, are you talking about the actual physical, like the money?
Physical cost, like to reproduce, say, a document like the Bible would have taken a monk, and there were scribes whose job was to copy, and they used to make mistakes and all that sort of stuff, and it was all intricate and hand done. Used to take them, I don't know, months for one copy. Yeah, exactly, Pete. Probably more than that. Now the cost to reproduce a book is nothing. It's on the internet. You just download it in a few milliseconds. I look at
mapping now. We used to be able to produce a photo, a corrected ortho photo, possibly takes 6 months. Now you can turn it around overnight, and it's a better job. So the difference in that is astronomical. And they're doing the same with the satellite imagery again, which can cover greater areas in the same time.
Yep.
Which is astounding.
Yep.
It's
The advances is hundreds of times, and that's only in a couple of years, hundreds of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, and go Russell.
To go back to the point before about the stock split, just quickly before we pack up, I've actually been trying to convince my local pharmacist to buy Tesla shares for ages now. Anyway, I spoke to him yesterday when I went down to pick up my prescription, and I told him, hey, guess what? Good news. Like, if you bought the shares yet, you're going to be in for a great ride because, stock split and stuff. He goes, oh, that's fantastic. Maybe I'll be able to afford them now. I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, they'll be cheaper. Like, I could buy them again. I'm like, and I was trying to explain to him like that it makes no difference of what the cost is. It's still worth the same amount of money. You just got to buy more of them. He's like, oh yeah, but it feels better to me buying something at $200 rather than $1,000, right? I was like, okay.
Take it for a drive.
No. It's not the car. It's the shares. So he didn't want to buy shares at $1,000 or $700 because it's too expensive, but he's happy to buy them $100 or $200, right? So if there's that mindset of people, because he wouldn't be the only one who thinks like that, right? By doing this stock split, you're also enabling people with that mindset to perceive that they're now actually buying it cheaper than what it is, and they're going to be able to put more money in as well, which will then bring new investment to the company that might not have been in there. Even though you can already buy fractionals, it's a mental thing to say, oh, I'm going to buy Alphabet. Oh, it's $2,000 a share. Oh, I don't really want to do that. It's too much. Or if I could buy it for
it's a big commitment.
I'll buy 10 of them, like whatever.
But Russell, you're absolutely right, because there's people that I've explained this concept to, like once a year for 3 or 4 years. I've said, look, you can, it's a pizza. The whole company is a pizza, and you can have it in 10 slices at $10 a slice, or you can have it in 100 slices at $1 a slice. At the end of the day, if you've got $10 to invest, you're either buying 1 slice or 10 slices, but you're still getting 10% of the pizza. So what does it matter? But you think that would be like a fairly intuitive way of explaining
That's
it,
right.
and you think you'd get it like that. It's one and the same, doesn't matter. But 3-4 years later, it's still like, yeah, but it's cheaper. I know, but
and I mean, it's not like this guy's stupid. He's a pharmacist. It's not like he's a dumbass or anything. But for him not to get it, it means there's so many other people who are highly intelligent, but not intelligent with money. Like they've got way other areas of competency, but not money, and it's bringing them into the fold.
And further to that, there are about 100,000 Tesla employees that can participate in a share scheme, whereby they sacrifice salary they buy shares in lieu of salary. But it's a lot. It's a lot. Say if a Tesla employee has $2,500 US, and they either have to choose to buy 2 shares, which is $2,000, or 3 shares, which is $3,000. They can't easily, in that case, I think through that share scheme, they don't sell fractional shares. Yeah. It's only that a fractional share is really a derivative. So it reduces the friction there. And for instance, I've got a kid, who's at uni, and there's no secret, I think he's bought about 3 or 4 shares because that's all he could afford. Oh, but and another little pro tip, and this is not personal advice, he was with ANZ and he was struggling to get his international share trading thingy because he did the documentation. They didn't set up the right account. They set up another domestic account instead of an international account. So actually it was you, Carmen, that said stake.
Yeah. Yes.
So I actually said to him, I said, look, I know nothing about it. I did a quick Google. I said to him, well, look, give it a go, see what else. I personally don't have a stake account. I don't know much about it. He rang me the next day and said, it's all been set up. He's just got to transfer money. As it turns out, it took about 24 hours. Apparently you can do it in 6 hours, but It has to happen before open trading and all that sort of stuff. And it ended up dribbling to the next day. But he managed to get an entry at, well, it ended up being $850. But Stake can do fractional shares, but he actually told me that one sting in the tail is you can only do that at market rate. You can't do a price order for a fractional share. If you want to stipulate the buy price, the bid price, you have to do it as one whole share or multiples of one share. But if you can only afford to buy a fractional share, you've got to do it at market rate, which means when you place the order, it'll just close it at whatever the market rate is, which is a slight disadvantage. So obviously having the share price cheaper, the last thing I'll say is that for some weird Dow Jones reason, they apparently balance their index based on share price, not market capitalization. So Tesla has far too great a share price to ever be admitted into the Dow Jones index because it would dominate. Yes. It's just a stupidity, and I don't mind saying that. It's the stupidity of the Dow Jones index that they have this weird notion that, well, all shares were the same price back in 1927, and that's how you judge them, and that's how we should always do it. I mean, every other index, I hope and presume, is based on market capitalization, which is the only way you can really do it logically. So Tesla being $50, which would happen on a 20-to-1 split, it may have a chance of getting into the Dow Jones, although I don't know the minutiae of why it would or wouldn't be admitted or why it should or shouldn't.
There's also option trading. So when you trade options, you have to trade in groups.
Yes.
Yeah.
100, is it 100 shares, 100 parcels?
100 in the US and 1,000 in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, so it makes option trading, even though option trading for Tesla is bigger than the rest of the option trading for every other company combined, it will just be able to get more people into it.
And you know, a little quick shout out to the late Jack Rickard, who died in 2020. He was the owner of EV TV. Sorry, it was the something Motorworks. Sorry, but he did a YouTube channel titled EV TV, and he did EV conversions, and he also did what he called selfish solar, which was get your panels, store it into batteries, and use it yourself. Don't try and sell it to the grid and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, he died in 2020, and he was big on Tesla, and
he was big as well.
Yeah, well, he was too. Yes, he was. He was rather large, and he did actually. He was very forward thinking in what he was doing, and I forget the point of that. But anyway,
it's time to say goodnight.
It is. It is.
Yes.
Now, good night, Carmen, and for everyone else, Pete. How would you normally close the show out?
Stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve. Ciao.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
And on that night, stay well, and we look forward to seeing you next week.
You're not going to put the picture of Jared up before we finish, or maybe you can pause it before you do it.
Which? Yes. Okay. So I'm going to just pause it. And we're back. So as Pete would say, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve, and stay on youtube.com/Tokwa. And we'll see you next week on another episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Night.